Good morning. Welcome to the Board of County Commissioners regular meeting on March 2nd, 2022, and I'd like to call the meeting to order and welcome everyone. First, we're going to have a pledge and invocation by our chaplain, Commissioner White. And with that, I'd like to actually make sure we do a roll call in the event that we need to. I don't see that we have everyone here at the dais.
Good morning. Overman?
Here.
Cohen?
Here.
Hagan?
Here.
Kemp?
Here.
Myers?
Here.
Smith?
Here.
White?
Here.
Thank you. You have a quorum.
Excellent. Thank you. Commissioner White, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll ask that everyone please stand at this time for the pledge and invocation, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, we thank you for those leaders and special people in our community that will be recognized this morning. We also ask for your blessings and guidance as this board, our staff, and stakeholders come together to make important decisions for this county this morning. And as always, I pray for our first responders and members of our armed forces. Pray that you will guide them and keep them safe each and every day. I give these thanks and ask for these blessings in your heavenly name. Amen.
Thank you, Commissioner White. I appreciate that. And Commissioner White, you're going to lead us, I believe, on the next. No, Will, maybe that's true. Yep, on the next.
I think I must be looking at an old agenda that has me second.
That's correct. I'm sorry, Commissioner Cohen. You are offering us a proclamation. So
That will give Commissioner White time to get where he's going.
okay,
All right.
excellent, excellent. Thank you, Commissioner Cohen.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. Is Corey Person the 2021-2022 Board President of the Hillsborough County Bar Association with us this morning?
I am. Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning, Mr. Person. It's great to see you or hear you, as always. And I know that you are joined by some very special guests who we want to recognize this morning, beginning, of course, with our Chief Judge, Ron Ficarota of the 13th Judicial Circuit. Judge Ficarota, are you there?
I'm here. Good morning,
Good morning, Judge. And also, I see Judge Jessica Costello of the 13th Judicial Circuit. Good morning, Judge. Is Hillsborough County Bar Association Executive Director John Kynes with us?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Good morning. Good morning, sir. And former Hillsborough County Bar Association Presidents Lance Scriven and Tom Elliott.
Good morning.
Good morning. I see you both. Welcome. Alex Palermo, the Hillsborough County Bar Association's 2021-2022 Young Lawyers Division President.
Yes, good morning. Thank you for having us.
Good morning. And also Hillsborough County Bar Association Board Member Amanda Uliano.
Yes, good morning. Thank you.
Good morning. Welcome, and thank you for coming. The Hillsborough County Bar Association is proud to be one of the largest voluntary bar associations in Florida. Since 1896, and you heard that correctly, it's 1896, this organization has been instrumental in providing exemplary service to the legal profession and the county it serves. The Bar Association also has had numerous national recognitions for its programs and events. As a lawyer, as someone who has worked for many years in the local justice system, and as a longtime member of the Hillsborough County Bar Association, I'm very honored on behalf of the board to present this proclamation this morning, honoring the dedication and hard work of the Hillsborough County Bar Association on the occasion of its 125th anniversary, which is being celebrated during the current bar year. I'm going to go ahead and read the proclamation. It reads, whereas founded on May 13th, 1896, by a group of Hillsborough County lawyers and judges who gathered at the county courthouse, the Hillsborough County Bar Association is a leader in all facets of the community. Whereas the mission of the Hillsborough County Bar Association is to inspire and promote respect for the law and the justice system through service to the legal profession and the residents it serves. Whereas at nearly 3,500 members, the nonprofit organization provides programs and services to help improve the judicial system and the administration of justice. And whereas the nonprofit organization promotes the highest ethical and professional standards among its members, encouraging them to volunteer in the community and provide pro bono services to individuals in need of legal service. And whereas the association promotes diversity and inclusiveness in its membership and the legal profession and provides continuing legal education to help members develop their professional knowledge and skills. And whereas during the 2021-2022 bar year, the Hillsborough County Bar Association commemorates its 125th anniversary, celebrating its long history of service to the legal profession and the community. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Hillsborough County, Florida, does hereby declare March 2nd as Hillsborough County Bar Association's 125th anniversary day in Hillsborough County, encouraging all residents and visitors to congratulate the HCBA for its 25 years of professionalism and dedication, and wish it many years of continued success, executed the second day of March 2022, signed by all 7 county commissioners. I have the proclamation here. I cannot give it to you in person, but Mr. Person, I'd like to invite you now to say a few words to us.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Commissioner Cohen, my fellow Berkshire Bear. Oddly enough, Commissioner Cohen and I both attended the same high school in Sheffield, Massachusetts. And so we both found our way down here to the wonderful city of Tampa and the wonderful county of Hillsborough. So thank you, Commissioner Cohen. Thank you to the members of the Board of County Commissioners for this proclamation this morning. It's a tremendous and recognition, and we are honored and pleased to accept that recognition. As Commissioner Cohen said, my name is Corey Person. I'm president of the Hillsborough County Bar Association. I've got the good fortune to preside during the year of our 125th anniversary. And quite frankly, the group of supporters that Commissioner Cohen recognized this morning, members of our judiciary, board members, staff members, and former presidents of our organization, truly exemplifies the commitment to this organization that has allowed it to not just exist for 125 years, but to grow, to flourish, and to evolve into a stronger, more diverse, and more adept organization that it has become today. Members of our organization have consistently been a part of the fabric of our county, and it's a great pleasure and honor to receive this commendation recognizing their unique contribution to the vitality and development of Hillsborough County. So thank you so much. Really appreciate you having us and honoring us this morning. Couldn't be more pleased. Thank you so much.
Corey, it's great to see you, and thank you for joining us. And again, our board and our county wish the Hillsborough County Bar Association a very happy birthday on this 125th year. Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Cohen, for recognizing such a wonderful organization that sets the bar so high. And I'm glad to see that. With that, our next recognition will be presented by Commissioner White, who's now in the County Center Multipurpose Room. Commissioner White, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to welcome Marie Gilmore, Managing Editor of the Osprey Observer. And Ms. Gilmore has some special guests with her this morning. She has her husband, Doug Gilmore, her mom, all the way from Canada to be with us this morning, Anita Fulton, and Osprey Observer staff members Jen Hurst, Jenny Bennett, Carrie Haining, and Cammie Yick. Ms. Gilmore and special guests, welcome this morning. Thank you for joining us. After watching the last presentation, I realized that this is the perfect day for celebrating anniversaries. The Osprey Observer Community Newspapers has been publishing local community news in Southeast Hillsborough County for 20 years, and it is poised for a very exciting future. It is incredible that what started out as a home-based business with a 4-page newsletter has dramatically evolved into a corporation publishing more than 200 pages in 5 monthly editions. It is my pleasure to present this commendation to Ms. Gilmore and her staff on a job well done. But before I do that, I'm going to just go off script for a moment and just say that the Osprey Observer is really a centerpiece for Eastern and Southern Hillsborough County. It's a free newspaper that's in your mailbox each month. I always enjoy getting my copy, and they pride themselves on reporting just good news, and that's something that I always look forward to receiving. And Marie, I just want to tell you that as I look through my keepsakes and things I have in boxes and whatnot at home, I have so many cutouts from the Osprey Observer, especially in watching my kids grow up, and so many of the special events that they've been involved in that have been covered in the Osprey Observer, from their times with scouting and school awards and things like that. So very, very appreciative of what you bring to the table for our community. With that being said, I would like to read this special 20th anniversary commendation into the record. And it reads, the Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners is pleased to congratulate Osprey Observer Community Newspapers on its 20th anniversary and recognizes the publication for providing informative local news to the community. Company founder Marie Gilmore launched the Osprey Observer newspaper as a family-owned local periodical whose sole mission is the betterment of the community through positive news and local journalism. Since 2002, the direct-mailed community newspaper has been committed to producing thought-provoking features and highlighting news and activities in Southeast Hillsborough County, including Fishhawk, Riverview, Valrico, Brandon, and Apollo Beach. Through many hours of hard work and with the help of a dedicated team of 16 professionals, the Observer has transformed from a 4-page hand-delivered newsletter to its current 5 monthly editions with more than 200 pages mailed into more than 70,000 mailboxes each month. After 20 years, the Observer's increased readership and high-quality content has received critical acclaim, notably being recognized as Small Business of the Year by the Greater Brandon, Greater Tampa, Greater Riverview, and Valrico Fishhawk Chambers of Commerce, among many other local recognitions. The Board of County Commissioners of Hillsborough County, Florida, does hereby commend the Osprey Observer for its accomplishments as a local news leader over 20 prosperous years and wishes the organization continued success. And that's, of course, executed today, the 2nd of March, 2022. And Ms. Gilmore, I'd love to have you come to the podium for a few remarks at this point. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Commissioner White. Thank you to your team that worked really hard to make this happen. Thank you to all of our county commissioners who made it available that we could come downtown here today. This is very special to us. We are very proud to have been publishing community news for 20 years in Southeast Hillsborough County. It's not just me. I don't do it alone. We have some members of our team here this morning, but also we have to thank our community, our local chambers, our organizations who support us. We are 100% supported by small businesses in the community who make the choice to advertise with the Osprey Observer so we can get delivered into the mailboxes for free. We do cover good news. We love local businesses opening up, awards, certifications, local children doing good things, winning awards, becoming Eagle Scout, going on to national television, being on The Voice and American Idol. These are the things we love to celebrate in our community, Southeast Hillsborough County, where we all live and raise our families. So thank you to our county commissioners. Thank you again, Commissioner White and the whole team. And here we go to the next 20 years. So thank you so much.
Marie, thank you so much. Again, congratulations. And Madam Chair, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Commissioner White. I'd like to recognize Commissioner Smith.
Thank you, and I just want to also commend the Osprey Observer News. I live in South County. Like Commissioner White, I have clippings of the Osprey Observer in my files from times that they've recognized, say, volunteer efforts or local going on in the community. They are a really well-read local newspaper, and they fill an important role of getting that hyper-local, real local information to the community that the larger papers miss sometimes. It's a good place to find out what's happening about local meetings or of local organizations, and also say cleanup days. The Tampa Bay Estuary programs give a day for the Bay, or things like that, where you can be involved in your community in various ways. And so I'm very grateful for the Osprey Observer News, and thank you, Commissioner White, for putting this commendation together. It's well deserved.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. And I kudos and exactly what you mentioned, I feel as well. I've had a great relationship with Osprey in terms of not only finding out what's going on in the community when I don't live right in South County, but also with the information that they're able to share with our citizens about what's going on around the county and what impacts their community directly has been a terrific partnership with the Osprey. And I just want to say thank you to your organization for getting that information out to our citizens. Thank you very much. I'm actually doing the next one. So thank you, Commissioner White, for that last recognition. And with that, there's a theme running here. I will present the last recognition, and I'd like to make that recognition to Sue Bedry, using for the newspaper and education development specialist from the Tampa Bay Times. Ms. Bedry, are you on the call?
I'm here.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us today. Well, it looks like today is a day to celebrate not only anniversaries, but also newspapers. Every year, Hillsborough County and the American Press Institute commemorates the first school week in March as the Newspaper and Education Week, which honors the Tampa Bay Times Newspaper and Education Program. The Newspaper and Education Program is a cooperative effort between our schools and the Times to promote the use of newspapers as an educational resource. And last night I had a good example of how that's going to work in people's lives. When we had the State of the Union last evening, it was on after 9 o'clock. And so my grandson and I would be something we'd talk about and he'd watch, but because it was on so late, he wasn't going to be able to see it. So now it's in the paper. So I can actually use the Times as a way of facilitating that conversation and going on, talking to him about what's going on in the world and what was discussed. For more than 40 years, the Tampa Bay Times has continued to grow and thrive. It's my pleasure to present this proclamation recognizing Newspaper and Education Week. And I'll read the proclamation. It reads, "Whereas research shows that the most effective way to help children discover the joys of reading and become lifelong learners is to get them involved at an early age and encourage them to read often. And whereas reading dramatically improves children's vocabulary, comprehension, and writing skills, leading to greater success in their academic and professional careers. And whereas students who learn through newspapers become lifelong readers, in addition to being informed and engaged in local, state, and national current events. And whereas Newspaper and Education is an international program encouraging students from primary through adult education levels to use the daily newspaper as a valuable learning resource. And whereas for more than 40 years, the Tampa Bay Times newspaper and education program has partnered with Hillsborough County to serve educators, students, and families. And whereas this collaborative effort provides print and digital newspapers, award-winning educational publications, teachers' guides, lesson plans, educator workshops, and additional resources, all at no cost to the schools, teachers, or families. And whereas the American Press Institute commemorates and celebrates Newspaper and Education Week annually during the first school week in March. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissions of Hillsborough County, Florida, does hereby declare March 7 through March 11th, 2022, as Newspaper and Education Week in Hillsborough County, and encourages parents, students, and teachers to read the newspaper daily in school and at home to inform, enhance, and enrich their lives. Executed this second day of March 2022. And I just want to thank the Times and Ms. Bedry for the commitment to education in this effort. And Ms. Bedry, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you so much. Thank you, Madam Chair and County Commissioners, for your support, for your continuing support. As you know, for decades, the Tampa Bay Times newspaper and education program has provided class sets of the daily newspaper to Hillsborough County schools, and that is at no cost to schools, teachers, or families. Teachers use the newspaper as a living textbook. So they teach subjects including English, current events, economics, civics, science, health, and more. Last year, we provided more than 160,000 print newspapers and more than 6 million digital licenses to Hillsborough County classrooms. We also provide original curriculum supplements for teachers of all subjects and grade levels. We are very proud of our partnerships with Hillsborough County Solid Waste, Hillsborough County Public Utilities, Hillsborough County Public Schools, and Hillsborough County Public Library Cooperative, all of whom we work with on a regular basis. Last year, our 2019 publication, The Do's and Don'ts of Recycling in Hillsborough County, was awarded a second place in the National Newspaper Association Better Newspaper Editorial Contest. And in the next 2 months, we will actually be publishing new curriculum supplements with both recycling and public utilities. So keep an eye out. Thank you again for supporting our mission and for recognizing NIE Week 2022.
Excellent. Thank you very, very much for being here. And I want to congratulate all of our award winners and celebrate today of all the anniversaries that we've addressed today. So thanks so much for everyone being here. With that, we'll move on to the approval of the changes of the agenda. Ms. Wise?
Thank you. We have one item by Commissioner Cohen, item F3, for board's consideration pursuant to Rule 13 of Rules of Order. This is to direct staff to prepare a letter of support for the chair's signature to the Florida Department of Transportation to light the Bob Graham Sunshine Skyway Bridge blue and yellow in support of the Ukrainian community. We have one item that has been removed from consent for highlighting by Commissioner Smith. This is item A4. This is to approve the dedication and naming of the Lettuce Lake Park Nature Center after Joel Jackson, former Hillsborough County and City of Tampa Parks Planning Manager. We have item B1 at 10 a.m. This is to approve the funding of a new project for Feeding Tampa Bay in the amount of $5 million, subject to negotiation of subsequent board approval of a funding agreement. This is to fund a portion of the cost to construct a new regional facility that will expand food service capacity and provide additional job training opportunities to Hillsborough County residents. At 10:15, item F1 by Commissioner Kemp. This is to direct Hillsborough County oppose any legislation that would eliminate net metering or lower the rate of compensation power companies pay to Florida residents and businesses for renewable energy they generate with solar panels and supply to the power grid, and inform our legislative legislative delegation of the county's position. At 11:45, recess for lunch. Those are the changes to the agenda, which also includes accepting item F3 to be included on the agenda.
Excellent, excellent. And are we going to address the highlighted item at the end of the meeting, or will we address that as part of the
You can
approval of
accept
the
the changes to the agenda, and then we will first take up the highlighting agenda before we approve the entire consent.
Excellent, okay. With that, can I get a motion to approve the changes?
So moved.
Second. I have a motion by Commissioner Cohen, a second by Commissioner Kemp. Please indicate your vote, although
I think we need a roll call.
I think we need a roll call because Commissioner Hagan is not online.
Overman?
Yes.
Cohen?
Yes.
Hagan?
Yes.
Kemp?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Okay, and the next item is the highlighting?
Yes,
Excellent.
and then that could just be added back on consent once it is discussed for
we're done.
highlighting.
Right. Commissioner Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you. And this item is to approve the dedication and naming, it's item A4 on the consent agenda, to approve the dedication and naming of the Lettuce Lake Park Nature Center after Mr. Joel Jackson, who is a former Hillsborough County and City of Tampa Parks Planning Manager, now retired for about 12 years. I wanted to pull this item for highlighting because I just don't think it should pass by without any comment on the major contributions that Mr. Joel Jackson has made to our county and to the City of Tampa and to future generations in his 40-year career in public service. 10 years before we had an ELAP program to preserve our environmental lands, this county had a Parks Bond program. Joel Jackson oversaw that program, and under his extremely wise stewardship, we gained several large, beautiful parks that preserved natural areas while providing access and facilities to the public. The parks that Joel Jackson planned and managed are some of the gems of our county's parks now. And I smile when I even just think of their names. Upper Tampa Bay Park, E.G. Simmons, Eureka Springs, Edward Meadard Park, Alderman Ford, Lettuce Lake Park, Apollo Beach, and more. These parks are spread out throughout the county, and each one is a gem, each one wonderfully well planned by Joel Jackson to make the most of its own special environmental characteristics and to share these uniquely wonderful places with the public. Joel Jackson also had the foresight to see that an emerging recreational sport called skateboarding had a place in public parks. So he created the first public skate bowl in the state of Florida, which was lovingly known as the Bro Bowl. I've known Joel Jackson for a very long time. In his career, he was always a consummate representative of Hillsborough County and a great environmental advocate. I've seen him volunteering in many ways above and beyond his job, working with various groups like the Audubon Society, the Native Plant Society, to help people enjoy our parks and preserves. And even now, 12 years into retirement, he has continued giving his time and effort to protect our local natural resources and preserves. There are more details of his service in the agenda backup. With the board approval today, hopefully we will soon be having a very nice big ceremony at the building itself at Lettuce Lake Park when the actual name is ready to go up on that building. And I'm sure there will be many people celebrating this well-deserved honor for Mr. Jackson with fitting tributes to his career and his legacy at that event. And I look forward to attending that. But today, I just wanted to shine a little light on this action we're considering today. And so at this time, do I make a motion to approve the consent, or? Okay, so I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
With the changes?
With the
Yeah,
changes.
Second.
Excellent. Excellent. So we have a motion by Commissioner Smith, a second by Commissioner Kemp. Please take a roll call. I'm sorry.
and I just wanted-
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see your, go
point.
ahead.
Of order, I guess, our public comments, do we,
That's after consent, yeah.
We probably should have done public comment first.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
But just,
Okay.
I just didn't know if that was.
Yes. Yes.
Right, and I'll just say about this, thank you for highlighting that and bringing that to our attention. I know we'll hear more later, but that was very sweet, and just to get all that about Mr. Jackson, so thank you.
excellent. Commissioner White, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I know that Commissioner Smith would really like to be the one that makes that motion, so I would just offer a friendly suggestion that after public comment that Commissioner Smith be recognized to deal with the consent agenda.
Thank you very much. I certainly will do that. Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much. And with that, we will open for public comment. And we do have, I believe, one person that signed up for a public comment. But before I begin that, I'd like to make a statement. The board does welcome comments from citizens on any issue or concern. Your opinions are valued in terms of providing the input to the board members. However, it is requested at the same time when you address the board that comments are not directed personally against a commissioner or a staff member, but rather directed at the issues. This provides a mutual respect between the board members and the public. The board has set aside a 45-minute period in the morning, but immediately following changes to the agenda for public comments. At the discretion of the chair, the board may again hear public comments at the end of the meeting in the event that not everyone is heard. Anyone who wishes to speak virtually or in person during the meeting may do so by completing the online public comment form found at hcflgov.net/speakup. The forum is open for the public sign-up 48 hours prior to the start of the meeting, and an option is available to notify whether comments will be received virtually or in person at the meeting. Additionally, in-person speakers will be able to sign up on-site via kiosk or smartphone the day of the meeting. For participants who wish to speak virtually, who have completed the online form, an audio call-in number will be provided to you after the form is received by the county. All speakers are required to provide their name, email address, and telephone number on the online form. This information is being requested to facilitate the public comment process. Sign-ups for both virtual and in-person public speaking opportunities for public hearing and public comment close at 9 a.m. on the day of the meeting. The chair will call on the speakers in the name in which the order of receipt and their request to speak will have been received. Prioritization will come on a first-come, first-served basis. The boardroom and the multipurpose room are designated for speakers only. Those who come to the county center to watch the meeting and not speak will be accommodated in the lobby area. Only the first 12 in-person signups will be allowed in the boardroom for public comment. Anyone speaking in the boardroom must wear a mask, and the multipurpose room will be available for those residents who signed up to speak after the first 12 persons have been registered or those persons cannot wear a mask due to medical condition. Although I believe we just updated that administrative rule, so we'll make sure that I read the new rule the next go-around. The speakers are asked to leave the room after sharing their comments. The virtual speakers will be muted upon joining the meeting and will be unmuted after recognized by the chair's name. So up to 3 minutes are allowed for each speaker. And today, the only person that I have signed up that is actually attending virtually on an off-the-agenda item is Jim Davison. Is Mr. Davison available to offer his public comment?
Yes, I am, Madam Chairman.
You're recognized, sir. Please go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
Hello. Thank you. Good day, Board. I'm here today to comment on the transportation public town hall meetings currently being conducted. Supposedly, these are informational and listening tours. They are anything but. Your bending of the truth in the presentation of facts on such an important matter as this transportation can only be condemned. Actually concealing many facts to manipulate people into giving you this sales tax money is criminal. I know, yet I almost forgot the 5-cent increase in gas tax your plan, this plan, is based on. Have you ever even read this plan, or is just the Tampa train the only thing that matters? If you did read this, you could not have helped but ask yourselves, how could we have been so stupid? As an example, the plan states the sales tax raises $980 million over 10 years, which in itself is a lie. The spending silos from the All for Transportation plan, which most of you have already stated that you want to continue in the new sales tax, only allow $147 million of this $980 million to be used on road widening and new capacity, $14.7 million a year. Good luck solving our transportation problems with that. It would take me hours to go through the fallacies you presented as truth in these meetings. As far as listening, you have already made up your minds. But it's nice to know you're listening to the public. According to your storyboards, this has led you to financing trails in the county every year with more money than sidewalk repairs, bridge repairs, and traffic light repairs combined. Or the financing of bicycle and pedestrian facilities with 30% more money every year than road maintenance. Sheer genius. Where did you hear these desires from the public? And now you want us to give you $18 billion over 30 years. You must have a real high opinion of the public to try and push this stuff on us. This is not a plan or a vision. It is a delusion and a lie. And we are not going to allow you to treat us like this anymore. We are better than this. I hope the 7 of you have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.
With that, I see no other speakers, so I'll close the public comment period, given we do not have anyone else asked to speak, and ask for a motion from, recognize Commissioner Smith.
Thank you. And now I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the changes.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Smith, a second by Commissioner Kemp. Roll call, please, unless there's other discussion, which I do not see.
Overman?
Yes.
Cohen?
Yes.
Hagan?
Yes.
Kemp?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Excellent, thank you very much. Ms. Wise?
Thank you. We have a few minutes still before our time-certain items, so if we can move to the regular agenda. The first item is item B2, and this is to reject all proposals submitted in response for development and operation of a large-scale film production studio and training facility. Scott Stromer, Director of Procurement Services, is available for this item, as well as Greg Horwedel.
Excellent, thank you very much. Mr. Stromer, you're recognized.
Thank you. Good morning. Scott Stromer, Procurement Services. Item B2 is asking the board to reject all proposals that were submitted in response to a request for proposals that was issued for the development and operation of a large-scale film production studio and training facility. 3 proposals were received in response to the RFP, and one of the proposals was ultimately deemed unacceptable for failing to meet the submittal requirements. After careful consideration, the evaluation committee determined that the remaining proposals contained approaches that were very different and inconsistent with the intent of the request for proposals and otherwise not in the county's best interest. Ultimately, the evaluation committee recommended that all proposals be rejected for the purpose of exploring alternative approaches to more effectively meet the board's original intent. Upon approval of the rejection, staff recommends working with Film Tampa Bay and the county's economic development and interested parties to create a new incentive program that ties any financial incentives to the achievement of certain performance measures. Ultimately, the resulting program and any associated awards will be submitted to the board for final approval. Procurement Services Department does recommend approval, and as County Administrator indicated, Mr. Horwedel is available to answer questions.
Move approval.
Second. I have a motion by Commissioner Kemp, a second by Commissioner Myers and Smith, if I'm not mistaken. Any other comments? Not seeing none. Please take a roll call vote.
Overman?
Yes.
Cohen?
Yes.
Hagan? Yes. Kemp?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Excellent, thank you. Ms. Wise?
Thank you. We can now move to the Commissioner section, and Commissioner Overman, the next item is yours regarding the Ellsworth G. Simmons Good Government Award.
Excellent, thank you very much. And Madam Smith, would you like to take the gavel for a moment while I cover
Certainly.
this item? Every year, the Ellsworth G. Simmons Good Government Award Committee recommends for this prestigious award a person or an organization that has played a significant role in improving Hillsborough County government through leadership and vision. The board has presented this award to many past winners, including former Governor Bob Martinez, former County Commissioners Jan Platt and Reuben Paget, and many others that have served on this board as well in our community. This year, the award selection committee has recommended the Honorable Julianne Holt, our public defender for the 13th Judicial Circuit, to be the recipient of this year's Ellsworth G. Simmons Good Government Award. A native of Tampa and a graduate of the University of South Florida and South Texas College of Law, Ms. Holt became a special court-appointed public defender in 1987 before her election as the public defender of the 13th Judicial Circuit in January of 1993. Serving in that capacity for nearly 30 years, she is responsible for more than 120 attorneys and support personnel who provide legal representation to residents in need who cannot afford private counsel. Her office handles nearly 50,000 to 55,000 cases each year. Under her leadership, the Public Defender's Office is recognized with numerous awards, including the Florida Supreme Court Chief Justice's Law Firm Accommodation, the Hillsborough County Bar Association's Outstanding Pro Bono Service by a Government Office Award, and many others. I certainly want to offer my congratulations and gratitude to this amazing public servant. She serves on many of the boards that I chair or participate, and every time we have an opportunity to engage, I am completely impressed with her her commitment and ethic towards personal and public service to our community. So I want to offer my congratulations and gratitude to this amazing public servant. And with that, I move to accept and approve the committee's selection of the Honorable Julianne Holt to receive the Ellsworth G. Simmons Good Government Award and to set the award ceremony for April 6th board meeting.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Kimberly Overman, seconded by Commissioner Cohen. And seeing no discussion, I'll make a few remarks. I am really pleased with this year's nomination from our nominating committee. Julianne Holt has a history of public service and has been constantly steadfast in her leadership, informed by her integrity and guided by a strong moral compass in everything she does. And we've been very well served and led, and she's a guiding star for those that follow her. So I'm very happy to see us be able to convey that with this award to Ms. Julianne Holt today. And with that, we'll take a roll call vote.
Overman,
Yes.
Cohen,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Excellent. And I'll take the gavel back. Thank you very much. And Ms. Wise.
Thank you. The next item is item F3. This is Commissioner Cohen's item to direct staff to prepare a letter to send to the Florida Department of Transportation to light the Sunshine Skyway Bridge.
Excellent. Commissioner Cohen, you're recognized.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And this is really a very solemn and sad item because I know that all of us are really appalled and sickened by the aggression that we're witnessing against Ukraine. And one thing that we can do is to make a public show of solidarity with people who are literally fighting for their neighborhoods and for their homes on the streets of Kyiv and the other cities across that nation. The way that it works in order to light the Sunshine Skyway is that Manatee, Pinellas, and Hillsborough County all have to ask the Florida Department of Transportation to do it, and then they will. So by passing this item, which is a letter from the chair to FDOT, we will help facilitate that happening soon, lighting the Sunshine Skyway in blue and yellow. And I just want to comment that the Tampa Bay Times had a really wonderful article about some of the private entities that have been lighting things up in blue and yellow across the region, as well as Tampa City Hall and the University of Tampa and a lot of other landmarks. So if by doing this we can encourage people to show solidarity in this way, I think it's a really, it may be a small thing given the circumstances, but it is still symbolic and it shows that our hearts and prayers are with the people of Ukraine. So I'd like to make a motion that we send this letter.
Second. So we have a motion by Commissioner Cohen, a second by Commissioner Smith and Commissioner Myers. Commissioner Smith, you're recognized.
And thank you. And just for the record, there's been a photo of the bridge lit up in this way circulating on Facebook, but the Times reported today that that's probably Photoshop. They had a reporter drive over the bridge. It's not lit that way yet. It is still pink. So it does, just for the public to understand, it does take this action along with the other actions Commissioner Cohen mentioned to get that accomplished.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And I too, I want to thank you, Commissioner Cohen, for moving forward this quickly. I will, assuming this motion passes, I will sign that letter today. With that, we have a motion by Commissioner Cohen, a second by Commissioner Smith and Myers. And with that, we'll take a roll call vote.
Overman?
Yes.
Cohen?
Yes.
Hagan?
Yes.
Kemp?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Sorry. Thank you very much. Ms. Wise.
Thank you. The next item is item G1. This is a staff report to receive a report on the statewide structural inspection program for multifamily residential buildings. This is a follow-up from a prior report, and Adam Gormley, Director of Development Services, will present this item.
Thank you very much. Mr. Gormley, you're recognized.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you. Adam Gormley, Development Services. Item G1 is a report on a proposed statewide building reinspection program for multifamily structures. This bill is, this is related to the partial collapse of a multifamily structure on the East Coast last year, and it is there are several bills pending, and one in particular that would relate to this matter, and that's Senate Bill 1702. 1702 would establish a statewide reinspection program for multifamily residential structures that are over 3 stories in height. The purpose of these inspections is to ensure that the structures are maintain structural soundness and are safe for habitation. It is not a inspection. It's a different type of inspection than what the county conducts today on buildings being constructed, and those are inspections that are to ensure compliance with the Florida Building Code when a building is constructed. The inspections addressed by the bill would be different in nature, and it's kind of a look at the existing structure to make sure that it is still sound. These inspections would be performed by private licensed engineers or architects, and potentially would involve a 2-phase inspection requirement. The first phase of the inspections would be a visual inspection of all the elements of the building, including all structural elements, to look for signs of structural distress. The engineer, architect conducting the inspection would look at all elements and determine whether there are signs of structural distress. The results of these inspections would be memorialized in a report that would be provided to the county and to the residents and owner of the building. If the inspection finds that there are no signs of structural distress, then that would conclude the inspection requirement. However, if the inspection found that there were potential signs of structural distress, a phase 2 inspection would be required. This inspection would be more involved and would potentially involve uncovering elements of the building to look at, for instance, rebar and concrete to assess whether it is still sound or whether there has been damage to those elements. The conclusion of a phase 2 inspection would also result in a report that would either conclude that the building is safe for intended use and occupancy and structurally sound, or would require or identify a program for full assessment and repairs to the structure. These inspections would be required on buildings that reach 30 years of age and then every 10 years after, or if the structure is located within 3 miles of a coastline, the first inspection would be required when the building reaches 20 years of age and every 7 years thereafter. The bill is currently written, and it is somewhat of an evolving bill. There were some changes made to the bill last week that I believe were significant enhancements to the bill, and that it focused on areas that the inspections would need to cover. It does provide for local governments to adopt timelines and penalties associated with the compliance with the inspection requirements and potentially repair requirements. And if the bill were passed, this would establish a statewide program, and we would be looking to adopt that into our construction code, as well as providing for appropriate timeframes and incentives for compliance with its requirements. In the event that it is not, we are still monitoring the bill and believe that what is presented therein provides a pretty good program to ensure that aging buildings do receive the required review and is not overly broad in its application. I'm available for any comments. Again, this isn't an evolving bill, and we are still monitoring it. At this time, there is no House companion, but the Senate Bill 1702 does seem to be moving along well. That concludes my report, and I'm available for any questions.
I'm not seeing any other questions, but I want to thank you, Mr. Gormley. This is a response to my request for coming up with a good strategy to address the safety of our citizens that live in possibly structural compromised buildings, that we don't want to see a Surfside in our area. I did notice that the bill is actually been put on a special calendar for tomorrow, so we may see more action on it. And as you mentioned, it is only on the Senate side. There does not seem to be an exact companion, although there's several bills that could be put together to come up with something similar. Our goal here is to make sure that whether the legislature acts or not, that we have a framework of a program to ensure that our citizens have the comfort to know that the buildings they live in are safe. And so I really appreciate your report. And do I need a motion to accept the report at this point?
So moved.
Second. Excellent. I have a motion by Commissioner Kemp, a second by Commissioner Myers. Seeing no other comments, please take a roll call.
Overman?
Yes.
Cohen?
Yes.
Hagan?
Yes.
Kemp?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you very much. Ms. Wise?
Thank you. We can now move to the time certain items, but it is a few minutes before 10 o'clock. So if you could waive your rules to hear item B1, which was scheduled for 10 a.m.
Move to waive rules.
Second. All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Kemp, a second by Commissioner Myers to waive the rules to accept B1 at the current hours. Take a roll call, please.
Overman?
Yes.
Cohen?
Yes.
Hagan?
Yes.
Kemp?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Ms. Wise?
Thank you. The next item is item B1. This is to approve the funding of a new project for Feeding Tampa Bay of $5 million. And we just would like to reiterate what an incredible partner Feeding Tampa Bay has been throughout this pandemic, and frankly, even prior to that time, and continues to be so. And this is for a new facility. With that, Tom Fessler will present this item because it is related to the American Rescue Plan. And we also have Thomas Mance with Feeding Tampa Bay available for questions as well.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Fessler, Chief Financial Administrator. This morning I'm bringing an item to you to approve funding of a new project, ARP project for Feeding Tampa Bay in the amount of $5 million. The funds will contribute to constructing a new regional facility that will expand food service capacity within the community and assist with COVID, specifically with COVID-related capacity increases or need. The facility also will house opportunities for additional job training for Hillsborough County residents. Feeding Tampa Bay has already purchased the land within Hillsborough County, and they are in the middle of a capital campaign to raise over $50 million for completion of the project. Feeding Tampa Bay is approaching all of the counties and the cities that they serve with requests for funding for the project. The ARP investment plan that you approved on September 1 did include a project option that is consistent with this item that we're bringing to you today. If this item is approved, we will begin working with Feeding Tampa Bay to craft or develop an agreement that we can bring back to you that will be consistent with U.S. Treasury rules to make sure that our contribution is consistent with ARP guidelines. And as Ms. Wise indicated, Tom Mance is available for any questions. If this item is approved, the board will have voted to commit $211.6 million of projects out of $285.9 million in available ARP funding. Just very quickly to go over some of the things that you have approved so far. You've approved a behavioral health program, septic to sewer projects, stormwater projects, road repaving, a replacement of 3 existing fire stations along with some equipment. You've approved a process where we're going back to our departments and requesting to see what type of needs the county departments might have. We're reimbursing ourselves from some COVID-related salary efforts that we have had to date. You have approved an affordable housing program, a nonprofit safety net program, various food insecurity projects and amounts so that we're continuing to be able to provide for the additional need out in the community for food insecurity. At your last meeting, you approved funding for 3 of the hospitals within Tampa Bay to expand their COVID bed capacity. Also, you have approved an item for the clerk of the circuit court to improve their data systems and to assist with court-related activities. And with that, I'm available for questions, and also Mr. Mance.
Thank you, Mr. Fessler. Is Mr. Mance available? Would you like to comment?
I am here, Commissioners. Thank you. We would just appreciate the consideration of our request for partnership. I think we appreciate the comments of Ms. Wise. We're proud to work alongside you to make sure that our community is well taken care of, and we look forward to doing much more of that in the future.
Excellent. Thank you very much, sir. And we do appreciate all the hard work that you do. With that, I'll recognize Commissioner Cohen.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. As we make decisions about where to deploy American Rescue Plan dollars, we keep coming back to making sure that our investments are consistent with our values as a community. And early in this process, we started earmarking money for food insecurity. And this is on top of that and is really the most, I think, wonderful investment that we could make as a community in allowing Feeding Tampa Bay to really truly fulfill its mission. During the pandemic, a lot of us volunteered with Feeding Tampa Bay and saw the tremendous need that exists in the community. They operate Trinity Cafe, which serves hundreds of people every day who are in need of a hot meal. And I just can't think of a better use of these dollars than to make this kind of investment for the future. No one should ever be without food or go hungry. And Feeding Tampa Bay is just an outstanding organization. They've always been a tremendous stewardship of the resources that they have been given. And I'm very enthusiastic to go ahead and move approval of this item.
Second.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Cohen, a second by Commissioner Kemp. Commissioner Kemp, you're recognized.
I'd just like to say that we're incredibly blessed here in Tampa Bay to have Feeding Tampa Bay. It's really an extraordinary model from all I can tell for the nation, and it serves 10 counties around Hillsborough County and does just an extraordinary job. And there are hot prepared meals like Trinity Cafe. There's also, it was just incredible when COVID first hit and people lost their jobs and people didn't know what they were going to do or where they were going to go. Grocery stores were running out of food, and over at HCC, they did a food bank. That was just one of many in the whole region on Saturdays. And cars would start lining up there, winding through. They started lining up at 3 in the morning to be able to start to pick up groceries at 8 in the morning. And they had thousands and thousands and thousands of cars that would keep going through until noon. And they would be, 4 lines and just be filling up the cars with, they would look for fresh fruit and vegetables that they could give people, as well as kind of the boxed staples. It was just, it's an amazing operation, and I am so pleased. We have, I understand, numbers that may be even bigger now than at the beginning of COVID. And we have an organization that is up to that task in Feeding Tampa Bay, and I'm just grateful that we have them here. We have, as many people all over the nation know, but we do have huge hundreds of thousands of people in Hillsborough County that are food insecure. So thank you to Feeding Tampa Bay. Thank you, Mr. Mance. Thank you to all the people that make Feeding Tampa Bay going forward, including thousands of volunteers. And we're just very pleased to have this resource and to be able to support and partner with Feeding Tampa Bay.
Thank you, Commissioner Kemp. I echo your sentiments. When we first were faced with this pandemic, Ms. Wise and I know how urgent it was to address our emergency plan. And at that time, there was a recognition of our stakeholders that were in the occasion, law enforcement, our hospitals, and the various different parties that would plan for an emergency that we didn't really know before. With a hurricane, we know we need certain things, but with a pandemic, it was a little different. But even in a hurricane, having access to food after a disaster is a core element of a safety and emergency plan. And I cannot think of an organization that stepped to the plate in a more rapid, robust manner than what we were able to be blessed to have in our community that Feeding Tampa Bay has been. They've been a great partner at reaching out not only to the county to make sure that we knew how they were operating, what their needs were, what their challenges were, but then their partnership with the various different community organizations to maximize their distribution network is so impressive to see how they stepped to the plate. We are blessed. And so using our ARP dollars to further shore up their opportunity to serve our community well seems like they're just the right thing to do. And so I'm more than willing to support this motion. Seeing no other comments, please take a roll call vote.
Overman?
Yes.
Cohen?
Yes.
Hagan?
Yes.
Kemp?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you very much. Ms. Wise.
Thank you. The next item is Commissioner Kemp's item F1. This is scheduled for 10:15, so if you could waive your rules to hear this item, please.
Motion to
Second.
waive the rules.
I have a motion by Commissioner Kemp, a second by Commissioner Cohens to waive the rules. Please take a roll call.
Overman?
Yes.
Cohen?
Yes.
Hagan?
Yes.
Kemp?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Excellent. Ms. Wise?
Thank you. The next item, as I mentioned, Commissioner Kemp's item F1, regarding legislation regarding eliminating net metering or lowering the rate for solar grid renewable energy.
Commissioner Kemp, you're recognized.
Thank you. I am so saddened to bring this item to you this morning, really. I'm deeply regretful that the Florida legislature seems to be moving at full speed ahead on what I think is devastating for the state of Florida, for rooftop solar, for climate change, for all the things that we have supported as a commission and brought forward. And I don't think it can go unrecognized, and I want our voices to at least be part of bearing witness to what's going on, because it's really devastating. And I have to say, every time I come forward, which is many times with a renewable energy proposal or something for us to do in terms of climate change on this board, I can never go pull the notes that I had from before, because they're practically irrelevant, because things have changed and moved and been so different time after time after time. And so again, this week, there's just a few things I'll just, in the big picture, to say we've all been watching Ukraine. We're lighting the bridge to reflect our support for Ukraine. But as many of us know, they're the center of kind of that geopolitical issue is fossil fuels, and why there was some hesitation on the part of Europe with natural gas to move into that, and Putin's control of natural gas. And, we have our dependence on fossil fuel has put us at the mercy of bad geopolitics, bad policy for so much, for historically for practically a century now. That's a big picture. There, we also had headlines just in the last couple days. Climate change effects outpacing ability to adapt. UN panel, grim climate change reports. We know, we see the wildfires in California, we see the storms that are hitting, we see the flooding. We know that Florida is ground zero for sea level rise. So with that in mind, time after time I brought forward issues, actions that we could take here in Hillsborough County. And this board supported some $5 million going forward a couple years ago to do solar panels on many of our libraries, to do energy efficiencies in many of our buildings, to panel the Winston Park Boys and Girls Center when they needed it. And I hope that we will keep moving forward in that direction, because it's extremely, extraordinarily important. We've done adoption of electric buses and started that at heart. We've moved forward in our own fleet here and talked about what we can do. And this board has always been supportive. This board also supported Solar United Neighbors, which is a not-for-profit, community-based solar rooftop co-op that was present in some 16 states when we decided to support it here as a not-for-profit. And I will tell you, I was very proud that when we kicked off a community co-op solar rooftop effort here in Hillsborough County, it had been in 16 states, it had been in counties all over Florida, #1 in the nation at that time for the kickoff for solar rooftop adoption was Hillsborough County because of the pent-up desire of people to put solar rooftop on their roofs. With that, I will tell you that most unfortunately, there are 2 bills moving forward in the Florida House and Senate that, if adopted, will be devastating to the shift of rooftop solar energy. That's Senate Bill 1024 and House Bill 741. Unfortunately, the House bill was brought forward by a Hillsborough County legislator, Representative Larry McClure of Plant City. These proposals would really devastate the adoption and use of rooftop distributed solar panel by consumers and homeowners and businesses, and increase cost to residents and businesses who generate renewable energy and supply to the power grid. The legislation harms the state's budding solar energy industry. By the way, we have 11,000 people directly employed now in the state of Florida doing the rooftop solar. 31,000 jobs that are related and indirectly related to that, so some 40,000 in all. That industry will really be devastated by this move by the Florida legislature. An industry that's produced $18 billion in economic impact in Florida. The passage of this legislation would create an untold loss of jobs, small businesses, investment and economic growth. These proposals take away choice from electric customers. We won't have solar choice any longer, not in a reasonable way, and penalize residents and businesses seeking to shift to green energy sources. Above all, these bills will slow down progress towards a greener, cleaner energy future that will be so critical to our air and water and strengthening our fragile coastal environment. The Florida legislature created net metering in 2008. It requires investor-owned power companies to reimburse residents and businesses for up to 2 megawatts of unused renewable energy they generate and supply to the grid. And under the existing rules, the companies pay the same market rate that they charge customers for power. So these bills would dramatically lower the rate of compensation below the market rate. Florida is one of the few states that prohibit free market sale of renewable energy generated by non-utilities. We already have very draconian rules that bar us from doing and deploying solar energy in Florida. And this was one of our good solar policies, and now it's being reversed. Because of our relatively restricted energy market, we have 4 big companies, TECO being the smallest of the 4 big ones, and we have municipal power companies throughout the state. That's about 25% of our power in the state. Because of our relatively restricted energy marketplace, we're not seeing the benefits of the full shift to solar energy. As we all know, in the Sunshine State, it's really been slow. We have about a 1% adoption rooftop solar at this time. And I want Hillsborough County to look to oppose these bills and do what we can in the legislature and with our legislators. And I have a couple of guests here, a much beloved, our former EPC CEO, I guess it's executive director is the term there, Rick Garrity. And he has not just retired quietly. Instead, he has been very active and serves as a volunteer with Solar United Neighbors Advisory Committee. He's one of the first people that approached me about supporting this group in Hillsborough County. He recently retired from a nearly 40-year career, as we all know, as an environmental scientist and director of our local EPC. And I'm going to ask Dr. Garrity, you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hope
And
you can hear
thank
me.
you so much for joining us this morning. We really appreciate it virtually. And I know I saw your column in the Lakeland Ledger over the weekend in opposition to this, and I want to invite you to share your thoughts with the commissioners in Hillsborough County this morning.
Thank you, Commissioner Camp. And Commissioners, it's a great pleasure to visit with all of you this morning, but this is sort of an unhappy topic that we are presenting here. Commissioners, I'm speaking in opposition to Senate Bill 1024, sponsored by Senator Jennifer Bradley of Orange Park, and House Bill 741, sponsored by Representative Lawrence McClure of Plant City. These bills will eliminate net metering from homeowners' rooftop solar projects. Commissioners, just think how you as a homeowner can have your own mini electrical power plant to supply your home with power and to augment your power company's power supply. One would think that the power company would welcome citizens boosting the community supply of electricity. The fair way to share the cost of this electricity would be for the solar system homeowner to be able to buy what power they need, if they need it at night, for instance, for the same price that they sell their excess power to the power company. And in fact, as Commissioner Kemp said, this is the formula presently used in Florida, and it is called net metering. For some reason, this fair trade of power has come under attack in the Florida legislature. Senator Bradley and Representative McClure have introduced bills which would have solar customers buying power at night at regular retail prices, but selling their excess power from their solar panels back at only a wholesale price. Their argument is that solar customers are being subsidized by non-solar customers. And so solar customers need to be actually financially penalized. That is so unfair, and what they're saying is just not true. Studies from across the country show that individuals with solar panels contribute even more value than they receive through net metering. According to a comprehensive study by the Brookings Institute, the economic benefits of net metering actually outweigh the costs and impose no significant cost increase for non-solar customers. Far from a net cost, net metering is in most cases a net benefit for the utility and for non-solar ratepayers. Economic benefits from solar customers include reduced dependence on expensive fossil fuels, reduced air pollution, and reduced capital investment costs. Utility commissions in many states have reached the same conclusion, including Vermont, Nevada, Mississippi, Minnesota, and Maine. In addition, solar customers are at their own cost investing in the local power grid and assisting in power production by installing their own electricity producing solar panels. And in return for trying to do something good, these customers face unfair increased costs. These extreme bills in the legislature will eliminate thousands of middle-class jobs, shuttering many small businesses, make rooftop solar inaccessible to low-income families, prevent homeowners from recovering their investment in solar, and weaken one of the most valuable tools that we have to combat the climate crisis. The Department of Energy reports that the solar industry employs more than 260,000 people nationwide, and the Solar Foundation reports that Florida ranks second in employing solar workers at over 12,000. Solar United Neighbors, a nonprofit co-op, they have brought more than $2.8 million in investments to the economy of Hillsborough County through rooftop solar. Solar installments is a jobs growth industry that could suffer from Senator Bradley's and Representative McClure's bad bills. I urge you and all local governments and our state representatives and senators to allow rooftop solar in Florida to prosper and to oppose Senate Bill 1024 and House Bill 741, and especially for you to contact our own local representative, McClure of Plant City, to emphasize the importance of rooftop solar to Hillsborough County. It could be he's not aware of the benefits of rooftop solar to his own constituents here in Hillsborough County. Finally, at the very least, this issue should undergo a thorough economic analysis before any drastic legislative action such as is proposed in these bills are taken. Thank you, commissioners, for allowing me to speak to you, and hopefully this bill can be thwarted by your action. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Garrity. We also have with us a woman I know I probably first met Ms. Susan Glickman up in Tallahassee some decades ago. Literally has carried the water for decades in terms of our energy efficiency in Florida and doing all that we can to move the dime, and has done so much work since solar was established as a alternate for us here in Florida. And this Ms. Glickman represents a Southern, where did I have my notes here? SACE, the Southern Alliance for Clean Energy, and has been working on this tirelessly in Tallahassee. Ms. Glickman?
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Kemp. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here, and it's always a real treat to be with you, Rick, of course, because your leadership for so many decades. So I'm a Tampa native, and I love Tampa. I love Hillsborough County. My brother actually served on the Hillsborough County Commission many moons ago. It really is distressing to see what's going on in the Florida legislature. Solar costs have dropped 90% in the last decade. Florida is dangerously over-reliant on gas, and as Commissioner Kemp mentioned, not only are there pollution and greenhouse gas emissions, but the cost of gas has gone soaring through the roof. You all may know that in the last number of months, all three investor-owned utilities in Florida, which covers 75% of the state, got big rate increases. What you may not realize is additionally, they passed on cost for gas. So investor-owned utilities make money when they build power plants, put concrete in the ground. Fuel is a pass-through, but the point is all of these investor-owned utilities are making big giant bets in gas, including Tampa Electric, and now they're having to come back for more money at the same time that they're working to squash rooftop solar while it's still in its infancy. Tampa Electric already passed on an additional $78 million, and they have a proposal right now in for another, I think it's $168 million now. So same thing, Florida Power and Light passed on $302 million, then another $810. That's an additional $1,111 million. So with Tampa Electric being 90% reliant on gas, we are not doing right by our constituents because we need more fuel diversity. So we have no targets for energy efficiency. In fact, out of 52 utilities nationwide, Tampa Electric is 46, Duke is 48, Florida Power and Light's 51 out of 52. Out of solar, we only have 90,000 net metered systems in the entire state of Florida out of a potential 10 million electricity customers. So of the solar that we do have, which is about 2.5% of our energy needs, 85% of that is utility scale solar. It's very important to have utility scale solar. We support that, but only 15% of that is rooftop. That's families and businesses. So this change to the net metering rule, which as was mentioned earlier, which was established in 2008, it is the one decent piece of solar policy that we have that requires the utilities to pay you a fair price for the energy that you generate on your roof. And Rick went through a little bit about them reducing it from crediting you for a retail rate, the amount that you use, up to what you generate, to down to an avoided cost. Now, just think about it for a minute. If you have a home or a business, you have paid for that property, You are paying the insurance, you are paying the taxes, you're paying your own electricity for that building. And now the utility wants to come in and take your solar power and not compensate you for any of those expenses. They just want to give you, again, avoided cost. Actually, I have been told by very significant energy experts that the concept of avoided cost was avoiding the next increment of power. So the next increment of power would be that gas plant they want to build, right? That's what you would have to replace that power. Instead, they're coming up with a figure that would be some late at night depreciated gas plant that's been around for 30 years and coming up with this lowest cost. So, one could argue about whether that's a fair way of doing this. But let's talk about the fair way. Rick mentioned the Brookings analysis of 18 different studies that show that the value of solar adds to the system. It benefits all. It doesn't take away. The argument that's being made that somehow people without solar are subsidizing people with solar is simply untrue. What makes your bill go up is when they build a power plant. So the fact that we don't capture more energy efficiency and more solar is what's putting these major assets in the rate base. That's what the rate increase is about. That's what these additional costs for gas is, because we're so heavily invested in solar and we don't do the energy efficiency and we don't allow people, offer any kinds of incentives to help people do solar. So as was mentioned earlier, we're one of 4 states where the law expressly prohibits anyone other than your government-assigned monopoly utility from selling you electricity. So this is very anti-competition, and this is to essentially make it harder for people to generate their own energy so that, once again, the only place that you can get energy, and the franchise system, made sense when it was first established, but that is not where we are in 2022. And as I mentioned, the cost of solar has come down 90%. So, if you're a hammer, everything you see is a nail. So if you want to sell more electrons, but what we need the Florida legislature, the Hillsborough County Commission, and our leaders really to be the hall monitors here. We need a real, true analysis of what the fair costs are. So Tampa Electric does charge $20 a month. In fact, it just went from $15 to $20 a month. In the last rate increases, both Duke and Florida Power and Light negotiated minimum billing. So what they're suggesting is a problem is not a problem. We have fixed fees that pay, so everyone pays their fair share. And in fact, when you talk about cross-subsidization, in the rate increases, what was subsidized by residential customers are industrial and commercial users. So in these rate increases, they settle with the commercial and industrial customers paying less, which means residential customers pay more, right? They subsidize. So I mentioned that in large part because it's been very difficult to listen to these disingenuous arguments. So in these rate increases, none of the utilities said to the Florida Public Service Commission, we need to put something in our rate increase to make up for the cost of solar, because it's not costing them. It's such a minuscule, again, less than 0.5%. So of all the solar we have, only 15% of that is rooftop. So there is no problem. Now is not the time to squash solar when it's in its infancy, particularly when we are so over-reliant on gas. Once again, 75% around the state, and in Tampa Electric territory, we are 90% on gas. And in this era, they are fracking. It's called hydraulic fracturing. And in the process, it releases methane. So the greenhouse gas emissions is as much as if it was coming from a coal-fired power plant in the life cycle of those emissions. So we need to get more efficient. We need more solar, not less solar. This is a very misguided effort by the investor-owned utilities that really want to choke off solar when it is just getting started. So with that, I'll stop, and if there's any questions about the bill did pass yesterday out of the Senate Rules Committee, so it goes on to the floor of the Senate. It's on third reading in the House, And it's just for so many reasons. And whether your concern is about the buildup greenhouse gas emissions, driving the climate crisis and sea level rise and extreme heat and extreme weather, or you're concerned about people just being able to have freedom to generate their own energy and to not be dependent for energy, it's not just your utility, but also, as Commissioner Kemp mentioned, we are in a global political crisis. I have family myself in Ukraine. I have been to Ukraine and did training in their first ever parliamentary elections. And these wars are often over fossil fuels. And we're seeing that bear out today. So we really, really, really need to get more independent. And this is a point of view shared by political conservatives, as well as people who are, spend their day concerned about the natural environment. So I really appreciate you all considering this, and I hope that you will weigh in on this incredibly misguided effort.
Thank you so much, Ms. Glickman. Thank you so much for bringing that information. And I'll just be real quick here. I'd just like to recognize that our staff, our legislative lobbyist, Mr. Jim Taylor, had kept us informed. I assume it went to everyone, but I know that I received it, that we're part of, Hillsborough County's part of the Waste to Energy Consortium, and back in the beginning of February, the Waste to Energy Consortium took a stand against these bills, and so we have been active in doing that. I also received an update just yesterday. As I said, everything's breaking news, but that among the opposition to this bill was the fact that there has not been any formal study conducted on net metering and its implications statewide. And I also have been contacted by Congresswoman Castor's office, and a Florida legislative delegation did send a letter to the governor and legislators urging opposition to this bill, and letting us know also it's very extended information on that. So I just like to add that. And with that, I'll make my motion to do all that we can as our delegation to let our legislators know, to let the governor know, to add it to our legislative lobbying specifically for us to oppose these bills or any form of these bills as they move forward that would hurt our solar industry, that would really devastate and strangle our solar energy in such a disappointing and disturbing way.
Do we have a second? Okay. Does Commissioner Kemp, does your motion include sending a letter today to our delegation?
That would be excellent if we could get it out today, yes.
I'll sign it.
Yes.
So I'm good. But so could you restate your motion real quickly, please?
That we add this to our legislative lobbying efforts and stand in opposition to these bills or any bills that will hurt our net metering. We have our net metering policy, and yes, we can write a bill or write a letter doing so and deliver it to our personal delegation, as well as the governor and cabinet would be good as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And Commissioner Smith, are you good with that second? Yes. Excellent. Thank you very much. Commissioner White, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't dispute that solar power is a green energy source that is good for our environment. And it's noteworthy that utilities have been expanding their solar power infrastructure. I also want to state for the record that I have the utmost respect for Dr. Garrity. But the legislature is not suggesting that homeowners cannot have rooftop solar infrastructure. The issue being addressed is how much the utility must pay for surplus energy when a homeowner has a surplus, and how much the utility must sell energy to the homeowner for when the homeowner has a deficit. The question at hand, as Dr. Garrity stated, is whether or not the current formula amounts to a subsidy. I believe that it does. So my position is that it's unfair to ask the utilities to subsidize the rooftop solar industry in perpetuity. They've been subsidizing, in my opinion, the industry for a long time now, and at some point the rooftop solar industry must stand on its own 2 feet. Commissioner Kemp, I respect your position on this issue, but for the reasons I've articulated, I will respectfully be voting against the item.
Okay, I'm not sure where that noise came from, but with that, thank you, Commissioner White. Commissioner Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, and I want to thank Commissioner Kemp for bringing this forward in such a full and informative way. And I also want to thank Dr. Garrity and Ms. Glickman for spending the time with us today and putting together their presentations of the information and the data and the facts of the matter. And I think they did a great job putting the lie to the excuses that these legislators are hiding behind as they give this favorable legislation to benefit the big power companies at the expense of our citizens and our businesses and the environment. These are job-killing bills that work against the free market, penalizing our citizens, penalizing solar energy businesses, and penalizing our environment by attacking and hamstringing this clean energy source. It is wrong to penalize our citizens who want to provide some of their own clean energy and give this windfall to the big power companies by letting them pay less for the solar than they're charging the solar generating customers for power. We cannot let this terrible legislation pass without raising our voices on behalf of our citizens and our local businesses. And so with that, I strongly support it and thank everyone who participated in informing us today.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. Commissioner Cohen, you're recognized.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Kemp, thank you very much for bringing up this item. And you spoke about something during your remarks. You alluded to the report that came out from the United Nations just this week. This report was very different from reports that we have been seeing over the past few years. Over the past few years, we've been seeing reports that say you need to move faster if you're going to get ahead of this problem. This report said you're already falling behind at a rapid pace and the effects are accelerating. My understanding of this bill is that it is a thinly disguised attempt to deter us from clean energy sources. And the fact of the matter is, if we don't start taking this seriously and moving more aggressively, we're just going to fall further and further behind. And the cost, the economic cost, the cost in loss of livelihood and loss of life is just going to increase over time. So I'm going to be happy to support the motion. And again, thank you for bringing up this item.
Thank you, Commissioner Cohen. And I'll just comment on a couple of things that I've heard today that are very important to, I think, all of us. You know, addressing climate change, addressing sea level rise, addressing our environmental safety is a bipartisan issue. But it's very clear with the energy behind this particular bill is that it's not being led in a bipartisan way. There are 3 to 4 utilities that really are owning this issue and owning our legislature in an unfair manner. When this legislature has swept 25% of my Sadowski housing money, and I'll just own it because of my passion for affordable housing and our issues associated with affordable housing and our deficit associated with affordable housing in terms of funding, when the legislature chooses to permanently sweep that Sadowski trust for sea level rise and climate change mitigation, this legislation is in direct conflict with the legislature, the House's legislature's commitment to addressing our environmental concerns. The only reason this could be moving forward is due to the fact that there is a four-party service provider, only four of them, that have enough control to say, we don't want to pay for a fair trade, and seems to be in direct conflict with fair trades to the consumers of the state of Florida. Additionally, solar energy is one of those that does help with our resilience, and those citizens that have put rooftop have embedded cost, as we heard from Ms. Glickman as well. So it's not fair to ignore the fact that their comparison when they choose to invest in solar is also based on a payback, which this change would change the metrics for those investors going forward. And that is not in line with our goals to address our climate change and the study that Commissioner Cohen has referenced in terms of our effort to move towards a resilient environment. So with that, I will support sending a letter today and make sure that our delegation, as well as the entire legislature, is aware that this is an opportunity for us to not make a mistake when it comes to serving our goals going forward. And with that, I'm seeing no other comments. We'll take a roll call vote.
Overman?
Yes.
Cohen?
Yes.
Hagan?
Yes.
Kemp?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
White?
No.
Motion carried 6-1. Commissioner White voted no.
Thank you. Ms. Wise.
Thank you. The final item are future discussion items.
I see Commissioner White.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There is, and I'm going to call it, for lack of a better term, an aging in place facility in Valrico. I'm not sure what its licensure status is going to be, whether it's going to be licensed as an ALF or whatnot. But this facility has been under construction and moved along quite nicely. It's on the south side of Lithia Pinecrest Road, where Valrico Road dead ends in Lithia Pinecrest. The building looks to me, to my untrained eye, to be substantially finished. It has the facade on it and everything, but there are still some permitting requirements, though, of some kind that have not been met. And it's my understanding that it is on the end of the builder or the private sector. That's not hung up with us. The reason this is of concern to me, though, is that it's my understanding, based upon some calls to my office, that some seniors had already signed up to live in this facility. They're now in limbo and are being put up in hotel facilities, as I understand it. So I'd like to get to the bottom of what the issue is there. And if it is on the issue of the builder, on the private sector side, that we reach out to them and see if we can offer any help to move it along, or see what we can do to get them moving it, because it was troublesome for me to hear that some seniors might be in a situation that they haven't quite signed up for.
Excellent. Commissioner Myers, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like to thank this board. On November 3rd, 2021, this board approved an application to the Department of State for the African American Art and Culture Center, and we were awarded $1 million of matching funds for the design of the African American Art and Culture Center. I also like to thank Ms. Wise and her staff for getting the grant application done. We were ranked 33 out of 150 applicants, so I just wanted to share the good news and what our staff is doing, and thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Commissioner Kemp, you're recognized.
Yes, and thank you for prompting my memory here because I missed this announcement. Actually, at our last board meeting, I was very excited about it. And probably all of you have heard or know about this at this time. But we were awarded, and I just think it's amazing, $4.9 million federal dollars for a ferry here in Tampa Bay. And that is an incredible lift. And I want to thank the staff that were so involved in working on this, Mr. Tom Fass, and Mr. Greg Hordell for Hart joining on with this. And I actually haven't met, and maybe Ms. Wise, I understand that we have a very talented grant writer who worked very hard on this, and I believe Ms. McDonald, is that? I'm sorry that, but I'd like to recognize, because I heard that I was really kind of surprised, actually, because the FTA, they put these NOFOs, these openings for applications, and they put it out kind of without a lot of advance notice, and then a 5-week turnaround to write a grant. And we stepped up to it. This board supported that, and we got $4.9 million I think it takes about, looking into that now, but about 2 years to build a ferry, actually a bus as well, or to get this coming here. But we're going to have a permanent ferry for Tampa Bay, and that is great, great news.
Excellent. Thank you, Commissioner Kemp. Commissioner Wise. Ms. Wise, you're recognized.
Thank you. And yes, it's Dana McDonald, and she worked actually on both those grants. She works for John Moeller and did a fantastic job. So kudos to the staff on both of those endeavors.
Excellent, excellent. And that sort of relates to my future items. One, I did want to ask the county administrator to advise the board on what our process will be to ensure that rock stars like Ms. McDonald actually can shine by looking for a real strategy on how the county can best take advantage of and what's needed to best take advantage of the infrastructure bill resources that are at the federal level that are so desperately needed in Hillsborough County. So maybe at some future date, just come back, kind of give us an understanding of your plan and the grant writing responsibilities and our budget responsibilities for meeting those kinds of grant applications. So that's something that's very important to me because I want to make sure that we are able and positioned well, given that many of these grants do have a very short turnaround time on them. And from what I heard while I was in Washington, D.C. at the National Association of Counties, I learned a great deal about the infrastructure plan, about the Treasury rule that has now been interpreted and set for April 1st for understanding. So we mentioned earlier about the Treasury rule. That's good that we know what that looks like in stone. But there was a great commitment by the Biden administration for, under the bipartisan infrastructure bill, that resources would be available to make sure that local counties and municipalities had the tools and the resource and the support to have competitive grant applications done, which may not have been the case in the past. So the good news is I think we have an opportunity to really serve our citizens well by pursuing any grant applications for the needs that we have in the area of infrastructure. So I'd love to have Ms. Weiss to come back and kind of give the board an update on what that looks like. The second item that, do you want to comment on that? Okay. The second item that I'd like to get some assistance from the county attorney's office. Many of you have heard, as we are facing an affordable housing crisis and skyrocketing rental rates, skyrocketing home values, which is great for ad valorem purposes, but it really is difficult for our residents that live here. The rental rates is becoming a real problem. And part of that is because we've seen about a 30% increase in corporately owned properties in Hillsborough County. That also, there appears to be a not a residential type of lease being offered to these properties that are purchased by a corporate owner, but a commercial type of lease with commercial type of terms being offered to our residents that require oftentimes the resident to cover the full cost of maintenance and care, repairs, insurance, the whole 9 yards. When that occurs, it puts our housing stock at risk, especially when there is little to no supply for a tenant to be able to say anything about repairs that are needed, puts their security deposit 100% at risk when they can no longer afford the rental increases we're seeing now, and they have to find another place. And then so the security deposit's used to actually paint the building and move in another tenant. Or it puts at risk tenants moving into housing stock that isn't in line with the fair housing, safe housing rules that we have, that landlords are required to provide safe housing for when they're asked to lease a property out. So I would love to get some research.
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Yes.
The audio just went down on the stream.
Are you ready?
And only to rent. And I think, this loss of building wealth and investment in your own homes and all the things that means to our community, I think this is a really terrible thing for Hillsborough County to have these corporate.
Can you hold on one second, Commissioner Kemp? So locally, we're going to support.
Apparently, there's a WebEx issue.
Okay.
And so if we can.
Yeah, I see that they're not connected right now. So should we hold for a second?
Yes, please.
Okay.
And we were so close to the end.
I know, we're almost there.
I know.
We're almost there, but I want to make sure this is part of the public record, so let's hold a second.
It looks like the whole WebEx is down. I have it up on my screen.
Yeah, Ms. Wise, I see that Zach, who's our connector to co-host, is offline, so that might be the
Yep.
source. It looks like it's coming back.
The power.
The power of internet to rule our lives these days. Okay.
Looks like it's coming back up.
Audio test.
It broke. Okay. Thanks. Can we proceed? Okay. I was just speaking with our clerk. My motion was not picked up as part of the public record, so before I ask, can I restate that before you proceed, Commissioner Kemp? So my motion is to ask for a report to come back exploring the impact of the potentially corporate type of lease and corporate ownership on our housing stock, as well as to ensure that those types of arrangements are in line with our fair housing rules in Hillsborough County, and to potentially bring back an ordinance that would address that to protect our tenants' rights. Thank you. I mean, a future item to come back, so not a motion, but future item.
And I'm not sure what I had said was picked up.
You may want to just start over.
Some 10,000 homes, as I understand it, in Hillsborough County are now corporately owned for rental purposes. I've been told that that there were certain corporations targeting homes in Riverview in particular, 3-bedroom, 2-house, and good school districts. And those were being bought out from under, the interests of people that might want to move into the community, have their first home, and instead they don't even have an opportunity to bid or look at it. And, full costs, even more are being paid for these places. And what we're taking away is the opportunity in our community for generational wealth building, for stability, for all the things that are represented by home ownership. And when you have 10,000 homes that are doing this in like just the less than the last decade, that means is that you're not going to be able to build your way out of this. There's not going to be opportunities for affordable housing. And I think it's a really devastating problem that we have to look at. I don't know what can be done. So maybe this is a way to curtail this. But it is, it would seem to me almost that you need to have something in the federal tax code in terms of this to punish this kind of, to me, like a sin tax, to take this away from individual homeowners, the opportunity to be investing and building in this community. And then the other thing, I just wanted to say I was remiss since I didn't make my fairy thank you list. But I would like to thank also Ed Taranchik for his incredible leadership on this issue. And he was very, very involved in the grant writing as well as Congresswoman Kathy Castor, who did a heavy lift and worked on this in Washington. So those were all of that came together to provide this benefit for all of us in Tampa Bay.
Thank you, Commissioner Kemp. Commissioner Smith, you're recognized.
Yes, I just want to, while we're directing staff for this serious housing market issue, point out and add my voice and my concern. But I've also been hearing lately of some of these corporations buying up large portions, large numbers of housing in new development as it's being built in I've heard of coming into a subdivision in Southeast Hillsborough County, buying up a great percentage of the houses as they're being built from the developer, and before the developer has released the CDD to the residents. So those single-family homeowners who also might have bought a house in there, they are now finding themselves in a CDD that is controlled by an out-of-state operator renting a large majority of the houses in their subdivision, and then being able to set the rules for the duration of rental time, for the assessments that everybody will pay for whatever or not in common areas. So, that is also a problem for people buying what they think is their nest egg home investment. They think they're going to be raising children in a new subdivision full of other homeowners, and it's going to be a largely rental operation controlled by one maybe out-of-state operator. And the second concern that wasn't mentioned yet, I think, is these operators coming in, these developers coming in and building subdivisions purely of build to rent subdivisions. And I just read about another one coming into the Wesley Chapel area from Phoenix. They've already done 3 of these in Arizona. They're an Arizona operator, and now they're moving into Florida with these build to rent. This is single family housing, but it is really changing our housing market. I know it's been happening, but suddenly we're at the tipping point where it's like some monopolies moving in and controlling our housing market and these subdivisions and the way housing operates in our market, and controlling the price when we have an affordable housing crisis. So I just wanted to put those things into the hopper of what we might be thinking about when we try to look at what our options are.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. I agree. There are some challenges here, and obviously free markets have to work, but there are also some abuses that could be not in line with our fair housing circumstances, so I appreciate getting that report back. Commissioner White, you're recognized.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I've actually heard reports of a single-family home subdivision in South County that is 100% owned by a rental corporation. I don't know whether or not that's true, but when we look at that issue, when we look at the complaints of citizens of just cookie-cutter homes everywhere that just look the same, the literal overnight proliferation of traffic congestion, particularly in South County, I see a common denominator there, and that's the fact that we do these huge tract developments in unincorporated Hillsborough County where the big national builders come in and they just build hundreds or thousands of homes overnight. In other communities, I've seen it play out differently where, if there is a development or a subdivision done, the lots are kind of bought up lot by people, and they hook up with a local builder or whatnot and build the home. Maybe that just happens organically in some cases. Maybe it's not policy driven, but I wonder if we can't tackle this issue to some degree through our comp plan and land development code. I know with the previous administration, I had tiptoed into the topic of maybe strengthening our timing and phasing policies in our land use documents. So Ms. Beck, Ms. Wise, that's something that we might explore is whether or not timing and phasing policies could be an issue here so that you maybe start to rein in, those huge, overnight tract developments. I think we could kill a lot of birds with one stone through that angle. I definitely want to see the reports and the issues that you're talking about come back and have a robust conversation about those as well. But definitely want to explore it on the land use front as well.
Actually, thank you for bringing that to the table as well. And I know that we have on future issues to come back our TOD, our transit-oriented development strategies, and our transfer of development rights strategies. And maybe somewhere in that equation we can address some of these issues as well. So I'm looking forward to those reports coming back in the near future. Any other items? Seeing none. I think we can call the meeting adjourned, which is amazing. Thank you so much for everyone. Thank you.